Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game So today I'm going to continue the series on the MiSTer FPGA DE10 Nano project, more specifically the Nintendo 64 core, because a few weeks ago I did a video on some of my favorite Super Mario 64 ROM hacks on the core that work on MiSTer FPGA, and you guys definitely said you wanted to see a second part, so that's what we're doing today. And we're starting off with Escape the Tower. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. If you're wondering why Mario is running around in the dark with just a little bit of a sparkle in the background, this is the first puzzle in a game that is filled with nothing but star puzzles in the best way possible. So it's not graphically glitching whatsoever. This is just what it looks like when you start. So stick with it for the first 30 seconds to a minute, and once you find the start and turn on the lights, you're off to the races. But I love getting new games for Nintendo 64 because I said in the previous video, honestly, the retail library is the smallest of anything Nintendo's really delivered to us outside of something like the Virtual Boy. Between PAL, NTSC, and Japanese territories, you don't really get a ton of games. Sure, you get some of the best 3D games of the generation of all time on the hardware, but it is one of the things that is a limited library, so fans are out there making new experiences, and some of them are definitely worth playing just like any other Nintendo 64 game would be. And that's what we're going to be checking out today, and if you want to see a part 3, leave me a comment down below and tell me what games you'd like to see me cover. But honestly, Escape the Tower is a ton of fun. Like right now, you're going to be grabbing this baby penguin, and for some reason, if you jump into the lava and explode him, you're going to find that baby penguin had a star inside of him. Sure, you had to commit penguin side there to actually get it out, but it's one of those things. This game is going to challenge you in so many different creative ways just to how to find a star or how to be able to move around the tower. And the entire point is you need to make your way up the tower to actually be able to escape, trying to solve all these star puzzles. Like King Boo here, you have to figure out exactly where the star in this room is, but there is no indication whatsoever. So it really is one of those games. It makes you think and it makes you play Super Mario 64 in completely different ways while also having the exact same mechanics as far as the jumps and platforming are concerned. And you will see here, I'm only showing you guys about part of the first floor. If you actually have King Boo lead the fire over, it'll burn this bookshelf apart and the star will jump out of it. So when you're playing this, definitely keep in mind, be as creative as possible, look around the entire environment, and you will progress and have fun doing it. Now moving over to Royal Legacy, this is more of a 3D platformer, and it's an instance in which even on the turbo core, some areas are going to run a little bit slower than Super Mario 64 would, because when it comes to ROM hacks, this is one that you guys asked to see, and sometimes you'll get ROM hacks that run at full speed via emulation, but they won't run at full speed when you're on actual hardware, even on the turbo core. So if you see stuff like this, it isn't the FPGA core having issues, it's just down to the fact that some ROM hackers out there just basically have it set up for software emulation first and real hardware second, which is totally fine as far as the perspective is concerned, because I'm sure probably 90% of people playing these ROM hacks are playing them on software emulation. But if you do notice some of that frame rate, just be aware that it is basically normal. But if you actually get into the levels here, it actually speeds up a lot. There's something about that actual overworld area that just has a lot of graphical effects moving around, which is probably just stressing out the overall processing speed of the Nintendo 64 core or real hardware. But this game, again, absolutely worth checking out. I love the art design, kind of feels a little bit like Super Mario Sunshine in some of the underground areas, and it's got a lot of nice art design as well. Of the platform layout and everything else is well intentioned and designed, and it is going to give you some nice challenging platforming, and that's what you want out of something like Super Mario 64. And it always impresses me just what the ROM hacking community is doing out there to give you guys new experiences, because it's not like these people are making a living off these ROM hacks. It is a hobby just to be able to spread a little bit more fun around on the Nintendo 64 front, and something like Royal Legacy here 100% delivers that fun, and it also has a really fun soundtrack as well, and it's going to be your first soundtrack sample, so go ahead and listen for 45 seconds, but don't go too far because I've got some more ROM hacks to show you that I think you're definitely going to enjoy. If you want to see a part 3, again, recommend some games down below. They don't have to be Super Mario 64. They can be anything. As far as ROM hacks that work on real hardware are concerned, I definitely might make that video if you guys watch this one, but enjoy the music. I mean, it's fun and it sounds like Super Mario 64 music, but it's not a track that you would ever hear in vanilla Super Mario 64. And again, the platforming in this is definitely one of the reasons I love this ROM hack so much. It is challenging, and if you fall down here, you're definitely going to have to go all the way back from the bottom to get all the way back to the top to try to collect the star. And that's always fun. You'll get captured, you'll get tossed off, and you'll just have to work your way all the way back up. But next time you go up there, you're going to know what to avoid. So as far as this ROM hack is concerned, I love the design language and how the levels are laid out. It really does feel like a very well designed level here, and throughout the entirety of the ROM hack you're going to get more of the same thing. That's always fun. I love how you even see a star in the background there showing you what's going to be coming next. Now moving over to Mario's New Comet, another great, very open world experience that feels like one of the other ROM hacks I covered in the previous video, and that's because it's from the same maker. You will find makers out there that you really like one of their games, and then you'll find out that they have 3 or 4 more, and you'll end up playing them back to back to back, just seeing how they kind of pivot on their formula and going by release date, seeing how they actually evolve their overall design philosophy, because that is the thing. Everyone gets their start ROM hacking somewhere, and maybe their first, second, or even third ROM hack aren't that great and aren't that loved, but they eventually get to something that really is awesome. And I love that Bomb here has some text for us as well. Some games are going to have no story whatsoever, some games are going to have a ton of story, some games are going to be very platform heavy, and other ones are going to be puzzle heavy. And just think of it this way, in these 2 videos I'm showing you 10 ROM hacks that work on Nintendo 64, and that expands the library by 10 games, because again, if you actually take a look at the totality of retail Nintendo 64 games out there, it is not big whatsoever, and once you remove the games that just really aren't worth playing, you suddenly realize you probably have the library by 40 or so %, depending on what you love. And if you're wondering how to get that green star out there, that's part of the overall puzzle of something like Mario's New Comet. You're just going to have to figure it out yourself, because I'm really just showing you the beginning of these ROM hacks to get you guys a little bit of a taste, but I don't want to spoil too much as to how they work or what happens later on in the game. That's a lot of the fun of these things, that sense of discovery, trying to figure out exactly what's going to happen next and where you need to go. And that's basically all the way across the board with all of the Nintendo 64 ROM hacks. Sure, I've been pretty much heavy on the Super Mario 64, that's just because it's an instantaneously recognizable game, and I love checking out all the ROM hacks for it, but there's ROM hacks for so many different games on Nintendo 64. So again, if you want to see more of these videos, recommend another game that's got a bunch of ROM hacks, and maybe you'll see that in part 3, because I do take your guys' feedback into account when I'm making these videos. But here's your second soundtrack sample for the video. Go ahead and listen for 30 seconds, but come back because I have one non-Mario 64 ROM hack to show you that's probably something you've never seen before, at least would be my guess. But the music's quite good, so enjoy it, and I'll be back soon. Just good music. But moving over to the last ROM hack I'm going to show you in this video before I tell you which one is my favorite. You've heard of Diddy Kong Racing before, but you probably haven't heard of Donkey Kong Racing. I love that it's presented in Dolb, not Dolby. It's basically turning Donkey Kong 64, the 3D platformer for Nintendo 64, into a kart racing game. And it might not be the best kart racer on the platform, but it is just so much fun to see what people can actually do inside of a game that was never meant to actually be a kart racer. It's one of those things. I love the creativity in the ROM hacking community. Someone out there thought to themselves, well, there's a Diddy Kong Racing game, why isn't there a Donkey Kong Racing game? Maybe I should just make it inside of Donkey Kong 64. And you'll see here, racing around as Dixie, it does work. It's a little bit confusing. It takes a little bit of a second to get understanding of the controls and kind of figure out how to move around the level, but once you do, it's one of those things, it just works, and it is hilarious to see. And that is the fun thing about ROM hacks. Maybe not every single thing is going to be a multi-hour experience. Maybe you're going to load up something like Donkey Kong Racing for 10 minutes, just see what people are trying to accomplish out there, and move on with the next thing. But I wanted to showcase one ROM hack that was not Super Mario 64, and Donkey Kong Racing seemed like a good place to start. And it is interesting how well these levels actually pivot over to racing, and I love they basically just made the racers tiny in comparison to the rest of the world, giving you a completely different sense of scale and perspective than compared to Donkey Kong 64. And there's mods for stuff like Diddy Kong Racing out there, Perfect Dark, Golden Eye, so many different games that you can play. Honestly, I could probably do like a 5-part series just on different GoldenEye games that people have made inside of GoldenEye with brand new levels and concepts. And honestly, I just love something creative like this. Using this ramp here basically feels like you're defying gravity, but in a fun way, and it really makes you wonder to yourself, where am I going to go next? Because you have that arrow indicating where that next Donkey Kong coin is, but finding it is part of the fun. And again, I just can't believe somebody decided themselves, let's make Donkey Kong 64 a racing game, and they somehow figured out how to make it work. But as far as my favorite ROM hack is concerned, the one I recommend more than any is Escape the Tower, and I may do a single video on this, just a 10-minute to try to get you convinced to play it even more. So let me know down below if you want to see more 10-minute single ROM hack videos, because there's a ton out there I'd love to talk about. And as long as you guys keep watching them, I'll keep making them, because you know I love Nintendo 64 and I love testing MiSTer FPGA, and you combine those two things together and it just works for me. But we're done. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.